What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the Hasbro Power Rangers Lightning Collection Mighty Morphin Z Putty. And so here we have the Z Putty posed and out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually take a look at what the Z Putty comes with. The Z Putty does come with two sets of hands. We do get a pair of grip hands with nothing to hold on to. We do get a right fist. We get a left claw hand. We get a flame effect which goes over the fist, and then we do get the sparking effect which can go over the Z Putty, which looks really nice. Other than that, we really don't get anything else for the Z Putty, so with that out of the way, guys, let's actually have a closer look at the Z Putty. And so here we have a closer look at the Z Putty now. The Z Putty is, for the most part, a complete reuse of the original Mighty Morphin Putty. However, we do have some new parts to them and some new paint applications, so let's actually go over that. The face is something we have seen before. This is the exact same head that we saw with the Mighty Morphin Putty. There's nothing really wrong with this head. I think it's a really good head sculpt. And one thing that I thought was wrong, on the original putties, they had the mask and the face the same color. A lot of the same scenes from the TV show that I could find. The original putties did have the same colored face as the cowl. It was the Z putties that had the darker face with the lighter cowl. I don't know why it was some sort of strange Mandela effect that I've always envisioned the putties with the darker heads. I don't know what it was, but yeah, all the Z putties are supposed to have darker faces and the Rita putties are supposed to have lighter faces. So that is really accurate. Now, one thing that isn't accurate is that the Z putties had this metallic finish to them, and you can see right here it is just a flat gray. Really unfortunate that they weren't able to make these like a metallic or pearly, swirly, twirly plastic. That would have been really nice. Just because it kind of is a little plain here, as you can see. There's really not much to say about the Z Putty. It's a really nice solid base for a custom if you want to customize a figure, because there's really a lot of things you can do with this. As far as character-wise, Z Putties don't really have that much character, and the fact that they are this flat gray really doesn't help them out. Like I said, if they were made of that marbleized silver plastic, I think that would look so much better, but yeah, they're just this flat plastic. I do like their little Z vest right here that you can see. This was, of course, their weak spot, that if the Power Rangers were to strike them right here in the chest, they just blow up into like 6 or 7 pieces, which I always thought it was funny. They're supposed to be stronger than the Rita putties, but their weakness is right here in their chest, and it's a big old target, so I don't know. I find it funny now, but it was such a unique concept when I was growing up. Really do like the fact that the vest is a different color than the undersuit. If they were the same colors, I would have had an issue with that. But yeah, really do like that vest. Again, wish it was a little bit metallic, but the fact that it does differentiate itself is pretty good. Now you'll see he has the exact same arms as the original Putty, except we have this as a grip hand, and then we never had the grip hand for the other side. You can swap them out with the original Putty, but these are darker than the original Putty, so they will look odd if you don't have the right hands attached to them. So just be aware that the glove arms on the putties are darker on the Z putties than they are on the Mighty Morphin Putty, so that might make it a little bit harder mix and matching them. Something that this putty doesn't have is a belt. A lot of figures that we've had a look at have had a belt, but the Z putties are lacking that belt. So I want to say that their lower torso is completely new. I don't have enough of the rest of the Power Ranger Lightning collection. I mainly just collect Zeo and Mighty Morphin, so I don't know if this torso has been used before. If it has, I haven't seen it. If it hasn't, this is new to the Z putties, so just pointing that out there. The legs pretty standard for Lightning collection until we get to the knee pads right here, where you can see they do have the Z's. Again, really wish these were metallic. It would make this figure pop so much more, but unfortunately it's not, and it's just this flat gray and dark gray plastic. Something that I really had to go back and look at were the boots. I didn't even know that the Z putties had laces. I thought that it was just some flat boot, but going back and looking at some stills from the show, not every Z Putty had lace boots this high. Some of them actually only came up to about a little past the ankle. Some of them actually had the original Putty boot, so it just varied from scene to scene on which Putty had what boot. so it was inconsistent with the way they looked. Having them in figure form with the same boot does give them a sense of solidarity, so I do like that. But yeah, the Z Putties didn't always have lace boots this high. Some of them had shorter boots, some of them had longer boots, some of them had completely different boots. So it would have been funny if we got that with some putties, that they had short boots, long boots, different boots. I think that would have added so much character, and the randomness on it would have been a nice little touch, but no company is willing to do that, unfortunately. So yeah, really do like the look on the Z Putty. It's probably my favorite design of the Putty. The Putty Patrol was a nice cannon fodder, but there's something about the Z Putty that I like more. Maybe it's because the weakness is so comedic, it's hilarious to me, but yeah, overall, Z Putty here looks phenomenal. Just wish he was done in a metallic plastic. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually have a quick comparison between the Z Putty and other figures you may have in your collection. And so here we have the Z Putty posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have the Z Putty posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we do have the Z Putty posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And so finally, here we do have the Z Putty posed next to the Mighty Morphin Putty and the Lightning Collection Lord Zed. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at the Z Putty's articulation now. He does sport, for the most part, the standard Lightning articulation. I say standard because he is missing the wrist swivel as well as the hinge, because everything is done right here at the glove. But let's run through his articulation really fast. He does have a ball joint in the head, which he really can't look up and down that well. You can see it just moves slightly. Virtually no head pivot, which is unfortunate. It does turn left and right, no problem. Does have a hinge in the neck, which lets him look up, lets him look down. So no side to side pivot, but that's perfectly okay. Arms do go out to the side, no problem. Do a full 360. We do have a butterfly joint, which works pretty good on the Z Putty here, not at all hindered by his little vest here. If anything, the vest is actually cut out enough so that butterfly joint works, so that's pretty good. We do have bicep swivel, which works fine. Double bend here at the elbow. Swivel, really stiff swivel, I might add, at the wrist, or at the forearm, actually, not at the wrist. We do have a mid-torso joint, which does go all the way around, does go forward, does go back, does lean to the side, to the other side. Then we do get rotation right there. Then we have a hinge, which does go back about that far. Leans forward that far. Legs do kick forward all the way front. Go back, out to the side, only to about there, which is kind of respectable, but not really. We do have swivel here at the thigh. Double bend here at the knee. Kind of stiff on mine. But yeah, he does get really high up there with his double joint, so I do like that. We do have rotation here at the boot, hinge in the ankle going back and slightly forward, and then we have forward-facing pin for rocker ankle. So overall, pretty good articulation here on the Z Putty. Nothing really new, but we have seen this articulation before on the original Mighty Morphin Putty. So with that out of the way, guys, let's actually get him posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Z Putties posed for my final thoughts, and overall, I really do like the way these putties came out. I think one of my obsessions with these particular version of the putty is that when I was growing up, my parents did buy me that original Z Putty figure, that when you press his chest, his arms and his head popped off. That might be why I have such a connection to the Z Putty. I really do remember having so much fun with that figure. And having the Z Putty in hand here, he is still a really fun figure. He doesn't blow up, unfortunately. It would have been nice if he had a pull-apart feature. That way you can simulate him getting hit in the chest. But overall, I still think Hasbro has done a fantastic job with the Z Putty. Despite the fact they're not really metallic as they should be, I really do think they should have used that marbleized plastic for the Z Putty just to give him that slightly metallic look. I think that would have made this a much better figure in my opinion, but he's still a really fun figure to play with, especially if you have an army like I do. Now, the Z Putty here is a single carded figure, and unlike the Mighty Morphin Putty, I really don't see Hasbro making this a 2-pack just because this putty does have some newly tooled parts with the knee, the boots, and the vest. I can see them doing it a little further down the line, but as of right now, the only way to get a Z Putty, unfortunately, is single carded. Now, if you're like me and you're a sucker for army builders, Hasbro did sell you more than one Z Putty. Me, I actually have 10 Z Putties. I was only able to fit 5 on my rotation stand here. I would have liked to fit more, but having them in this configuration, I could only fit 5. So there are 5 other Z Putties off to the side just waiting to get their pictures taken. So if you're a fan of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, especially Season 2, which I think was probably the best season, the one where they introduced Zed, the White Ranger, and of course the Z Putties, you're going to want to have these guys in your collection because they are a fantastic army builder. And at $20, it's pretty fair for a 6-inch figure. And now if you do go overboard like I did and buy 10, you will end up spending $200 on one figure, which is quite a bit, but I think it's really worth it for displays and pictures. With that being said, guys, I'm King of Dragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go check out all my other action figure reviews as well as all my other Power Ranger videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.